Hello, everybody. This is David, and this is my commentary, my fan commentary for the pilot episode of Smallville. And I am going to be talking about it, so I hope you're watching the pilot. If you own the show on DVD or on some sort of format, I don't know how you watch Smallville. But if there's a way you can find the pilot episode, watch it while I'm talking. And yeah, I'm gonna make it like a real, well, it is a fan commentary. That's what this is. So here we have our opening shot of Smallville. I remember when this show first started, I was in my last year of high school, and I really loved this show when it first started, and I still love it today. I go back and watch episodes once in a while. And John Glover here playing Lionel Luthor, he was so good. But this was his only. He was only in the beginning of this episode. He didn't appear until again later on in a couple of other episodes. But he was only I guess a semi-regular during this season. It was season 2 where he became a full-time cast member. And Martha and Jonathan are introduced here, and there's a little flirtation with Jonathan and Nell, Aunt Nell here. If you remember Aunt Nell, she's Lana's aunt. And I remember reading somewhere, I don't know how true this is, that Nell and Jonathan were supposed to have a little background where maybe there was a little romance between them a long time ago. I don't know how true that is, but I'm glad they didn't go with that angle. If that is true, I'm glad, because the CW is already, or this was WB at the time. This was already enough soap opera-ish to go on. So I'm glad they didn't do that with the parents, and then Martha and Jonathan get a divorce or something. I'm glad they kept them as loving parents that always loved one another. And I think that was something Smallville was great at, was the parents' dynamic with Clark and how honest they were with one another. They felt like a true loving family that anyone would wish they, not all families are perfect, and sometimes you wish for those happiness. My parents are fully in love with each other. They've been married for since 1980, So there are some families out there that do love each other and stick with each other through good and bad, which is really good. So this is a little bit, I guess, in the comics, from my understanding, where Lex and Clark did meet in the comics, some versions of the comics, I guess. It was in Superboy, I believe, where Lex and Clark met as teenagers. But Lex is a little bit older in this series. He's like, I was just reading, he was supposed to be 21. He's supposed to be around that age, and Clark obviously is 16. Not this part, obviously. This part, Lex is probably 9 years old. Takes place in 1989. I was not even 10 yet by that point of my life. It's probably the Scarecrow. This guy, obviously later on we're gonna see Clark like that, which is really cool. Ties into the villain of the week. The freak of the week is something that happens every week on this show. We get a new one, and the Scarecrow was the very first freak of the week that Clark had to face. I didn't care too much for Jeremy Creek personally, the Scarecrow. He's memorable only because I think he's in the very first episode, but whatever. And then these are supposed to be Lana's real parents, but I think I don't remember what season it is now, season 1 or 2, where Lana finds her real father. Like, she finds out her parents are divorced, and there they go. But then they dropped that storyline, it seemed like. So it's funny looking back at this and knowing where the characters go now from here. now that the series has been over for quite some time. It's interesting going back to the beginning once in a while, like looking at the really earlier episodes and checking out like how the characters started off as and then where they went from here. That's terrifying. Oh, here comes this classic Superman moment. Almost every version of Superman has done this moment. Clark's arrival on Earth. And that's something cool that the series played off of. Like, Clark, I felt guilty because of this, even though it wasn't really his fault. He took that burden on himself to really blame himself for all of this, even though there was like nothing you can do. But I guess anybody would kind of blame themselves. I don't know, maybe. I love this because you look at Lionel Luthor's face right now, John Glover, and when he looks at his son, you see this disgusted look on his face, which shows how great of an actor this guy is. Right here, look at this. The look of disgust. Like, ugh, look at that. Ugh, that's my boy. And you feel sorry for Lex because you know what kind of a man, that just tells right away what kind of a man Lionel Luthor is. Here's the classic Superman moment where the Kents find their son, Clark Kent. Been done many times before in every movie that you can possibly imagine. Smallville, obviously. Superman, the movie with Christopher Reeve. The Dean Cain show didn't really do it. Superman, the animated series, did it. Man of Steel, I guess, glossed over it. Okay, maybe not every version of Superman has shown it, but maybe that's a good thing. Smallville did it so well that you didn't need to do it again in Man of Steel, you know? And if people didn't watch Smallville, well, that's their problem for missing out. I think this was a great show at the time, and now looking at shows like The Flash, and Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow, and Supergirl, and Daredevil, and Jessica Jones, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., seeing how many comic book shows that are out there right now. It's crazy thinking about at one point, Smallville was the only it was the show that really started, I think. If you look at Smallville, the pilot, the way it's shot, it's definitely has, you can feel that in some of the CW shows today. Maybe Legends of Tomorrow is the most different of them all, but like there's a little bit of influence in some of that. And I remember even I think it was Jeff Loeb, who's now working for the Marvel television side, said he was looking at shows like Smallville to help influence their shows as well. Obviously, you don't see too much of that in Daredevil and Jessica Jones, but you can see how a little bit might have synced into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There is a light, fun tone to it. But I think more with the CW shows. Tom Welling was, I remember thinking he looked so much like Christopher Reeve. Obviously, when you think, it's funny whenever a new actor plays Superman, people like compare him to Christopher Reeve, including his looks. I guess because Christopher Reeve really like set the standards of what an actor who plays Superman should look like and what they should be. And Tom Welling, man, he grew as the series continued, just like all these actors, like Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin. And to this day, people still want Tom Welling back, man. And the way the series ended, I'll have to do a commentary on the finale one day. But the way the series ended was... I like the season finale, the series finale, don't get me wrong, but I felt kind of ripped off that they didn't show us Clark Kent in the suit. Like, literally, Tom Welling didn't put on the suit. I made a little rant video for fun. I wasn't serious in it. just in case any of my subscribers are listening to this and they saw that video, I did not. I wasn't really angry that Tom Welling wasn't casted, but it would have been nice. That's all I was trying to joke about. It would have been nice to have him back and putting on the suit again. I get it, he might never, because he never wanted to back then, and he might not want to now. But you'll never know. When an actor, as time goes on, sometimes some actors, they eventually change their mind. So it's happened. It's happened before, so... Sean Connery said he would never play James Bond again after Diamonds Are Forever, and then he returned for Never Say Never Again. So just remember that. Chloe and Pete. I liked Chloe and Pete. Pete, not so much Chloe in season 1. I remember being a little annoyed by her because I don't know why. She was too nosy. I get that she would wanted to be a reporter and all that. I remember when there were rumors, when people thought there was this theory that Chloe was one day eventually going to turn out to be Lois. And I said, what? That theory doesn't make any sense. I'm glad that theory was rubbish and they eventually introduced Lois. Number one, because I loved Lois. And number two, because Chloe actually turned out to be a better character for me in season 4 of Smallville. That's when Chloe became more interesting, when she found out Clark's secret. And she became more of an ally to him instead of getting into his business when she wasn't supposed to. I felt like she was a better sidekick than just a friend on the side, It's crazy to see how young these actors are too. Back in 2001, this pilot premiere. I should also mention that this pilot was directed by David Nutter, who fans of Arrow and The Flash should know that he also directed the pilots for those episodes as well, for Flash and Arrow. He directed the first 2 episodes of The Flash, as well as a couple of episodes of Game of Thrones. So, just a little reference point. I think he directed some Entourage episodes as well. And, in my opinion, he's directed some of the best pilots for the CW. Those 3 shows, Flash, Arrow, and Smallville, are great pilots for these superhero shows. He set the standards on what the show needs to be, and he really helped allow the show to go on from there and take what he molded together and use that for the rest of the series. And the series evolved into a great show, I think. Okay, there were some bad seasons, but for the most part, I love Smallville. So, Kristen Kruk, who plays Lana, I had a huge crush on her when the series started. Yeah. She was the girl next door, She was the classic example of that, I thought. She was very beautiful as well. And, so if back in my day, I would have dated her. So what are you, man or Superman? She got a little annoying as the series continued, when Lana also started rubbing her nose in Clark's face, or Clark's ass, or whatever you want to say. Whitney, people forget about Whitney. I feel, this is the mold Smallville has created for all these other superhero shows like Arrow and Flash, because Whitney was that boyfriend. If you've never seen Smallville, I'm gonna spoil this, but I'm sure you saw it already. Whitney dies at the end of this oh no, he doesn't die, he leaves, but still, eventually we find out he does die. Whitney is kind of like Tommy from Arrow and what's his name? Eddie Thawne from The Flash. If you think about it, he's the guy who cock blocks the hero in order to get the girl, right? So it's interesting now, thinking about that, looking at this show now on that perspective, how it's still an influence today. on some of those shows. So the Scarecrow is alive, 1989, but now it's 2001. It's a couple years later, and he looks the same. What the heck is going on? Get some Luthor Corp. Michael Rosenbaum as the Flash. Lex. The Flash, because I was thinking of talking about this, so I'll just say it now. Yeah, he was the voice. I remember when Smallville started, they had the Justice League cartoon starting around the same time. And Michael Rosenbaum was also the voice of the Flash on the Justice League cartoon. So he was like on Smallville and doing the Justice League cartoon both at the same time. So I'm like, man, the guy must be a fan of DC or something. Or work is just work. And it just happened to be that way. But yeah, man, you can't imagine. I think Lex and Lionel were definitely the highlights for a lot of people, including myself, for Smallville. Clark was a great character too, but it was really the Lex and Lionel drama that was my favorite part of the show, because there was a lot of interesting dynamics, especially when they got to play off each other. I thought it was always fun. And Lex is such a layered character. In a lot of ways, it's, you know, the hero turning into the villain, like Darth Vader in Revenge of the Sith. But in my opinion, done a little bit better character development wise. So it was really cool, man. This pilot was huge at the time. It got huge ratings. I think it got 8 million viewers. Like, okay, a lot of people don't think that's, maybe people think that's big, but like Supergirl obviously broke that record. I don't think the Flash or Arrow got that many viewers. But Smallville, yeah, 8 million viewers for the WB. I don't know what their... I remember it broke records for the WB. That's all I know. And it maintained that rating for the first 2 seasons. So, I mean, it must have been doing something right. Supergirl recently broke that record with 12 million viewers, though. But that one quickly dipped quite a bit. Funny enough, to like 7 million... 6 million viewers, I think it fell down to. I don't know, maybe a little bit more. Last time I checked, anyways. It's been a while since I checked Supergirl's ratings. And this is a classic scene for all Smallville fans. Here we go. This is where it all starts, the friendship. Damn. That's it. That's where the friendships, or the frenemy friendship starts? I don't know. But yes, this is where it all begins. This is where it all really, really begins. Because this day will constantly be mentioned once in a while to show why Lex was obsessed with Clark.
Come on, don't die on me.
It's always weird for me to see Michael Rosenbaum with hair now, because I've watched Smallville for so long with him being bald. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that he has hair when he's not playing Lex. And the first movie I ever remember him in was in Urban Legends, where he had hair. But I didn't... When I saw Smallville for the first time, I didn't remember that he was in that movie. But then I looked on his credits on IMDb, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. He was in that movie.
Son, you all right? I'm okay. Who's the maniac who was driving that car? That would be me. Lex Luthor. Jonathan Kent. This is my son. Thanks for saving my life. I'm sure you would have done the same thing.
Huh?
He had quite an extraordinary
Or would
voice.
he?
Kent, if there's any way I can repay you. Just drive slower.
That's good advice. I would take it, Lex. Huh, how did his car get ripped open like that? That's what I would be thinking anyways. I'd be thinking that kid has to have superpowers, man. It would be cool if like Arrow and Flash did like an alternate universe, made Smallville an alternate Earth kind of situation. I mean, they have their own Green Arrow on this show too. They have their own Flash. They have their own Supergirl. It would make perfect sense. And they got Laura Vandervoort. I think I'm pronouncing her last name wrong. But the actress who played Supergirl on Smallville, they had her on Supergirl recently playing a new character. All they needed is to get Justin Hartley back as the Green Arrow from that Earth, as well as the kid who played Bart Allen. I don't know what all these actors are doing right now, but it would be cool to like bring them all back and have them in a crossover with the Flareverse.
You want someone to put in a good word? Ask Clark. Saved Lex's life today.
You're kidding.
Sometimes people can surprise you. I think it's kind of cool.
Coach sent a scout
Well,
from Kansas
he's
State.
clearly jealous.
It's great.
I don't want to be remember him. Smallville's got enough of those guys.
Whitney was a jerk in this episode, though. Like, what he did to Clark, in my opinion, was kind of unforgiving. But I guess he became less of a jerk as the season went on, right? And yeah, by the end of it, I think he even apologizes to Clark for some of the shit that he did.
So much bad luck came out of it.
So he was a jerk that eventually turned into a good guy by the end of it, which I guess is good character development for him. And they brought him back, I think, like, obviously in season 2 because they wanted to end his character, and then they brought him one more time in season 4 in a flashback to season 1, but it was like newly filmed footage. And then I think that was the last time we saw Whitney, was in season 4, like new footage of the actor. This definitely had like a Buffy, Angel meets Dawson's Creek sort of show. Shows that I didn't really watch back in the day. Smallville was like my first real primetime show that I finally decided to check out. Well, I don't know. Hercules and Xena, I guess, too, back then. Those shows had finished, though, by this point. And I was becoming a teenager. Or I was a teenager. Already getting ready to go to college soon. So this was my first real show, that primetime drama show that I got into. Oh no. Electric. I thought he was the Scarecrow, and instead he has electrical powers.
Hey, Mom. This truck.
Yours. It's a gift from Lex Luthor.
Dear Clark, drive safely. Always in your bed. Maniac in the porch. Don't believe it.
Huh?
Where are the keys?
Your father has them.
Clark and Jonathan and Martha always gave Clark really good advice. Advice that sometimes even I took into my own morals a little bit, I guess. This show influenced me quite a bit in how I look at life a little bit, I guess. Well, I like characters with good morals.
Not what I meant.
And, you know, I always liked the character of Superman when I was a kid. He was a good character to look up to for kids, and I think, you know, sometimes with these fictional characters, we can learn a little something about ourselves too. And it's interesting how relatable they made Clark in this show. Relatable for me, anyways. Like, I understood how Clark felt sometimes, feeling like a freak once in a while. you know, I was the shy kid in school, never really had too many friends. I like to stick to myself usually. Um,
So you're judging Lex on what his
and it
father
feels weird sometimes, like not having people understand who you are. And
I just want to make sure that you know where the money came
I
from.
never was really into sports, stuff like that, you know. So I feel like Clark was relatable in that sense.
Clark, I know you're upset. Son, but it's normal.
And the scenes like this were always nice.
Normal?
I like this part.
How about this? Is this normal? I didn't dive in after Lex's car. It hit me at 60 miles an hour. Does that sound normal to you? I'd give anything to be normal.
Now we're gonna have the father-son talk. Come on, Jonathan. Get up there. Talk to your son. I like Martha's look there. Like, nice one, Jonathan. Go talk to him.
It's time, son. Time for what?
Time for your spanking.
The truth.
Oh my god. Can't believe I said that.
I want you to take a look at something. I think it's from your parents, your real parents. What does it say? I tried to decipher it for years, but it's not written in any language known to man.
So how were you deciphering it for years, man?
Your real parents weren't exactly from around here. Where are they from?
Out there.
What are you trying to tell me, Dad? That I'm from another planet?
That looks good. John Schneider was really good as this character also.
Actually, it's in the storm cellar.
And there we go, the classic ship. Some of this was done in Smallville as well.
So you came into our world, son.
Oh, the scene in Man of Steel was... I meant Man of Steel, by the way.
Show parade?
The scene in Man of Steel was, like, really heartwarming and nice.
Why didn't you tell me about this before?
But then again, I guess I was a younger kid, right?
I
So
wanted to protect you. Protect me from what? You should have told me.
this one, Clark is more teen angst. So he gets more upset about it. It's like, how they don't know. Look how you just acted. Of course they're not going to tell you. They shouldn't have even told you right now. Can't handle the truth.
Who's there?
It's me. Clark.
Clark Kent?
Clark
What are you
Kent.
doing creeping around the woods?
You never
I like how they have the angel wings behind him because of the angel statue.
Clark, wait.
I know some people that don't like it when they make Clark a religious figure,
hanging out in the graveyard.
a religious archetype, I guess. I don't know, a Christ-like figure once in a while. For me, I don't mind it. I get the symbolism behind it, but I get the annoyance of it too, especially when they lay it on thick. And that part I didn't think was thick because I remember watching this for the first time and didn't even notice it, but someone pointed it out to me afterwards. And I thought, oh wow, I didn't notice that the first time.
You must think I'm pretty weird.
I look at it more as an artistic thing, so. But some people look at it as really hardcore religious people look at it as a something that Hollywood is making fun of other religions. But look, I don't want to get too much into that, but it's art, so it's just them being pretty. That's how I look at it. This is a nice little scene. I like this line coming up. Listen.
Daddy was kind of shy. How should I know? Mom wants to know if you're upset about a girl. Dad wants to know if you're upset about a guy.
No, no.
I like that joke.
Twisted sense of humor. Seriously, Clark. Why are you out here?
Ani, you ever feel like your life was supposed to be something different?
That would be an interesting twist if Clark said yeah. That would be an interesting twist if Clark had a thing for Whitney. Oh my god. I would love to know how fans would have reacted if the show switched it around and that he wasn't really in love with Lana, but he was really in love with Whitney. Heads would probably explode. It's like, you can't do that to Superman. You can do that to Pete, but not to Superman.
Till I realize I'm still alone.
Wait until Bucky and Cap become a thing. I'm telling you now. One day, one superhero is gonna change for sure. I think one of the Green Lanterns already are. Guy Gardner or something like that.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
But like, no one thinks of Guy Gardner.
Wants you to know
It's always Hal Jordan.
she's always looking over you. No matter what.
Bucky and Cap, I think, is a possibility that could become a thing.
What's it, Mr. Light? Your dad thinks you're shooting for homecoming queen.
These two had good chemistry, man. Even though I like Lois a little bit more than Lana nowadays, when I look back at the series, these two did have good chemistry, though. I'm not going to deny that. When they weren't arguing and fighting.
Thanks for walking me home.
It's creeping around the woods.
You realize it's the longest conversation we've ever had? We should do it again.
Yeah, we should. So you going to the dance?
Yeah, Whitney.
He forgot that she and Whitney were together.
How about you?
Nah, I figured I'd say
He has
no.
nobody. That was me, man. I didn't go to no proms and stuff like that.
Change your mind.
Because, like, the girls that I liked were, like, maybe had no interest in me or something like that. So I didn't go to no prom. There were a couple of girls that liked me. But, anyways. What's in the past is in the past. I don't look at the past anymore. Yeah, the dog's barking. He wants to be part of the commentary too. Yes, you are part of the commentary. Come here. Sorry, everybody, for this little interruption.
See ya. I buzzed, but no one answered. How'd you get through the gate?
I think he was saying that he was very upset with Lex's bald head.
This is a great place. Your dad and
It's funny that they're in this room right now, but this wasn't the actual set for the mansion.
or so my father claims. Yeah, it chipped over.
And it's always cool seeing Haley Castle. Haley Castle is a real place in Vancouver, because obviously Smallville was filmed in Vancouver. I don't know if the indoors of this is actually what Haley Castle looks like, but I've been to Vancouver once, and I was at the outside of Haley Castle. They also used that for the mansion for the Queens in Arrow Season 1 and 2, as well as the X-Men films they used it for. And
Your father doesn't like me, does he?
this was the first X-Men movie used Casa Loma in Toronto, where I live. That's where the first X-Men movie used. So Haley Castle is a popular place where they usually use for stuff like this in Vancouver. I think it's been used other times, but those three movies, those three things, are the ones that I remember the most. Arrow, the X-Men films, and most recently Deadpool used it for the X-Men Mansion again. It's funny because the X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, as well as Apocalypse, used I think a place in Montreal. But Deadpool went back to Vancouver, where X-Men 2 and 3 were filmed.
I flew over Smallville, and for the first time, I didn't see a dead end. I saw a new beginning. Thanks to you, I have a second chance. We have the future, Clark. And I don't want anything to stand in the way of our friendship. That's the third guy this week.
And they're all former jocks.
What's the lawyer?
I don't know. Let's check him out. His name's Jeremy Creek. This is a picture of him 12 years ago. This is one I took 4 hours ago.
That's impossible. He'd be like 26 today. Must be a kid who looks like him. My money was on the evil twin theory until we checked his missing persons.
Jeremy disappeared from the state infirmary a few days ago where he'd been in a coma for 12 years. They say he suffered from massive electrolyte imbalance.
That's why he hasn't aged a day. So you tell me he just woke up?
Well, no, there was a huge electrical storm and the hospital's generator went down. And when it came back on, Jeremy was gone.
Electricity was
So yeah, you can see sort of the Lois and Chloe connection there that people started theorizing a little bit.
Jeremy Creek as the second
And yeah, I didn't mind it.
boy found in field 20.
I mean, no, I didn't like that theory. What am I talking about?
Said something to his body.
No, this can't be right.
Contradicting myself now.
Show me what?
Oh, the Wall of Weird. I forgot about that. This became a thing for the first 4 seasons of the show.
I call it the Wall of Weird. It's every strange, bizarre, and unexplained event that's happened in Smallville since the meteor shower.
Yes,
When it all began. Town makes sense of.
it is where it all began.
So what do you think?
Why didn't you tell me about this?
Do you tell me everything that happens in your life? We all keep secrets, Clark.
Oh, see, that's where the guilt starts, man. Sees Lana as a kid, that she lost her parents because of him, even though it wasn't really his fault. That I guess anybody who comes from space and their comets from their planet hits other people's parents, I guess people would blame themselves. I don't know.
Chloe, just
See? What a jerk.
congratulations, Clark. You're this year's scarecrow. Don't mess with me right now. Come on, bring it on.
How convenient. He has to be wearing the necklace that Lana gave him.
What's going on with you and Lana?
I wonder what Clark would have done, though, if he wasn't wearing the necklace.
It's as close as you're ever gonna get to her.
And you would have thought it would have been hard to redeem a character after he did this to the main character. Another iconic image making Clark look like a Christ-like figure. But this was... They set this up earlier on in the episode, so... Made sense. And they do a callback to this again in season 10, but with Lois being the one strapped up. And I always wondered, how come they don't have her shirt off? They left her wife beater on.
I thought if I punished them, it would stop. But it never stops.
Just something to think about.
Wait.
I know why. I just, yeah.
Homecoming dance. I never made it to mine. Get me down. Please.
But I remember they used this for the posters, and I guarantee you that's what caught people's attention. Like, why is he strapped onto a stake like that? A cross or something. What's going on with this show? It's huge promotional material. And some people would say that this show started at the right time, too, because it started a month after 9/11 happened. And some people kind of claim that maybe that's what helped it boost its ratings, because people were looking for something to escape to. And what better thing to escape to than Superman, right? A superhero, if you will. Because this is when, you know, X-Men had come out the year before, the first X-Men film, directed by Bryan Singer. And Smallville started out, in 2001. And so superheroes still weren't that big phenomenon that I think it is nowadays. You know, now you hear about people talking about superhero fatigue, you hear Roland Emmerich calling them silly. Yeah, that's what people called them back then too, and now look how popular they are. So this, I like to say, was the start of the television side of superhero shows, because there were other superhero shows that were starting slowly. Like they had Heroes a few years later. They had this one called The Shadow or something. No, The Shadow was a movie. There was a movie. I don't remember what it was called right now, but it was a superhero-like show, and they tried to make a 40s-ish feel to it. I can't remember what it was called right now. Something Smallville was always weak on was the action sequences. Today we see Arrow and Supergirl and the Flash with pretty cool action sequences for the budgets that they have, but Smallville clearly wasn't ready for that. As you're about to see here right now, it's a pretty short battle with this kid. Not the best action sequence. And Smallville never had the best action sequences either. It was always, to me, the show was more about the characters and the situations they were going through. It was never about the action, and neither the special effects, because special effects in Smallville weren't great. They were okay sometimes, I guess, when they were able to do something cool with it. But for the most part, special effects and action was not Smallville's strong points. I think this was really the real true superhero show that really succeeded at things. I mean, I know Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher was very popular, but that show I didn't really get into. Maybe because I wasn't mature yet. Because that one was in 1993, I was probably just 10 years old. But I liked the character of Superman. I remember seeing some episodes here and there of that one. But it was really Smallville that really got my interest into Superman really rising at that time. I think I even liked Superman for a while more than Batman until Christopher Nolan took over. Because by that time, the last Batman movie we had was Batman and Robin. And then they did Birds of Prey, which I have on DVD also, which was not a great series at all. Why do I own it on DVD? Because it's Batman, and I have all things superheroes when it comes to my DVD collection. I think the superhero stuff is the stuff that I have the most of when it comes to TV and movies. I have other things too, but I love superheroes. What can you say? Yeah, I know how that feels, Clark. I'm with you, man. See, I think Clark was a relatable character in this show. I think anybody knows how it feels to see the person you had a crush on back in high school with somebody else. We all go through these experiences, I think, and that's where Clark, I think, can relate to people as somebody in high school who goes through those emotions and those... That's Justin Chatwin, by the way, right behind Whitney there. He's, some of you might remember him from, what was that show he was in? I forgot right now. But he was also in the movie directed by Spielberg, War of the Worlds, with Tom Cruise. He played the older son. And, someone played his daughter, but I forgot who the actress, the little girl was who played his daughter. But she was famous. She was going somewhere, and then she disappeared off the map, I think. Was it Dakota Fanning? I don't remember now. I think I'm mixing the names up. But anyways, that was Justin Chatwin from War of the Worlds, and he's done a lot of other things. Oh, the Dragon Balls movie, Evolution or something. That was bad. I never watched that movie, but it was bad, I heard. I like this conversation, and when Clark said, can I answer that in 5 years? And what happens in 5 years? Jonathan Kent died. He passes away. And Clark never got to ask his father that question. Are you okay? Or maybe he did. I don't remember. It would have been cool if he asked that in the 100th episode. Are you okay, son? Like, it would have showed that they remembered that line in season 1. Should go back and watch season 5 again just to see if Jonathan ever asked Clark that.
I didn't see you tonight, Clark.
The way this episode ends, it originally aired on TV as a 2-hour special because it transitions into the next episode, making it look like a TV movie, even though it was really just 2 episodes put into one. The second episode I thought was a little bit weaker. The first episode here, though, was really well done. A lot of care was put into it. It was really good, man. Very heartwarming, very great character scenes. It was really fun, man. I liked it. I still love it today. I think it's one of the better TV pilots, especially when it comes to superheroes. Definitely one of the stronger ones. A lot of memorable moments that defined the series and what it was. Some really good actors. A great lead. Great leading lady. Yeah, and yeah, I loved it, man. It still holds up today. I like that. Like, did she hear him? Or does she feel his presence? She smiles. She must have been thinking about Clark. And with that, that's the end of the... That's where it would transition into the next episode. Because the next episode actually does start with the sky and goes towards the bug boy who's spying on Lana, the creepy bug boy, who actually returns in the 200th episode. So that was it, guys. That was my fan commentary for Smallville, episode 1, the pilot. I asked people to... I only got 1 vote, but I asked people to pick between 4 episodes of shows, and Smallville was the one that got the vote. So I said, okay, well, 1 person voted, so I'll do Smallville. And I was thinking of doing this for a while now, so until next time, guys, take care.